have a quorum, we are going to get the third meeting of the day started. And we probably need a roll call because it does say that on my agenda.
Vice Mayor Baxter, Commissioner Flores, Commissioner Powell, Mayor Marino,
Here.
Commissioner Sachs, Commissioner Weiss,
Here.
Commissioner Woodward.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. And do we have any additions, deletions, or substitutions to the agenda?
Yes, Mayor, we do. On page 75, 3FF1 has been deleted for further staff review. On page 85, 5E3 has been pulled for further staff review. And on page 90, 5F1 has been pulled for further staff review. That concludes the addition, deletions, and substitutions.
Okay, may I get an adoption of the agenda as amended?
Mayor, I'd like to move to adopt the amended agenda.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries 4-0. And now on to consent. Anyone like to pull any items from consent?
We have two cards.
No? Oh, we
one
have.
card.
Okay, we have 2 cards on consent, so we'll go ahead and read those, and then after the cards, we'll do the motion in the second.
Sorry, Mayor, it's actually 1 card. Alexandria Larson. 2 items. Yeah.
Anyway, I'll talk about the 3 items. I wish you were pulling them, because we're doing 3K1 is a joint reclaimed water pipe, regional reclaimed water, and later on in the agenda, regular agenda, we're dealing with lawyers that are going to be dealing with PFAS. I don't know what I can't pronounce the words, they're too big. But I don't think we should be doing that because in the, in the backup, I don't know if we sue ourselves because all this stuff, when they listed all that, I'm sure you saw it, the Teflon and everybody, it's pretty bad. So I don't think we should be doing that. It's just a personal opinion of mine. And then, we've got on the budget transfer, it's asking for a Faraday room, and I thought one of the commissioners would ask someone to explain a Faraday room to everybody, because I think the constituents need to know what that is. If you want to do it, that'd be great. I think they should have a presentation on what a Faraday room is, because we're paying for it, and I don't think a lot of taxpayers actually know what that is. So think about it.
Thank you. Is that our last card? Okay. So may I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Let the records reflect that Vice Mayor Baxter is in. All right, we are going to public hearings, which is page 76. And before we do that, do I have a motion to receive and file proof of publication?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, we are on to 4A1, Public Safety, the issuance of a special secondary service provider certificate of public convenience and necessity to Cambridge Security Services. Does anyone need a presentation? No?
Nope.
Okay.
Mayor, I'd like to go ahead and move item 4A1.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a first and 2 seconds. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion carries 5-0. All right. We are now on to the regular agenda. Laura Beebe, I apologize. You've had to be here all day. This is item 5A, 1A, and B, an amendment and a budget transfer. Does anyone need a presentation on this? Commissioner Weiss.
Mayor, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to approve item 5A, 1A, and B.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And by the way, North County Airport, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Let the record reflect Commissioner Flores is in. Thank you very much.
Mayor, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to move item 5A2, A, B, and C,
Second.
also for the airport.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. 6-0. You're welcome. Okay, we are on to the regular agenda, 5B1, A, B, C, D, and E, which is the community services.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve 5B1, A, B, C, D, and E.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, 6-0. As we're breezing through these, I apologize. Do we have
I
cards?
apologize, I'm new to this job. We do have a card on the previous
Okay.
item, airports.
All right, Laura, before you leave the room, we do have a card on 5A1.
5A1 and 2, both airports, right? But separate agenda items. Alexandria Larson.
We already voted on it, so.
We're still here to listen.
No, Commissioners, I hope this year you get the card straight. It's tough when you have a card in and you don't want to yell out and say, hey, there's a card. It's kind of rude. I try not to be rude, but it's like, I watched you breeze right through that. And they do. When we're trying to give in our cards in the morning, they're telling us what we can and cannot speak on. So you should know about that also, okay? That needs to stop. I have a right to speak, and I did. I argued with it this morning, and you did. You gave me the right to speak, and it was just to thank you to be up there. That was all it was, but they were afraid of what I was going to say. So anyway, with the airports, I am concerned about North County, because whenever we change anything up there, we're doing something with the environment, and that's the scary part. North County's a little bit different than South County, here at PBIA, because whenever we do something up there, we hurt the animals, we hurt the birds, we're hurting somebody, and that's where I have the grave concerns with that, because I have a friend, somebody said you want to build a new tower up at North County, and I'm not sure if it's true or not, but I don't take it. It is true. Thank you. That's good. That's dumb, but it's okay. It's just I don't think they should do it, because like I said, we keep messing with the creatures up there, and we bought a lot of land up there, 33,000 acres surrounding that airport that we bought to preserve for the environment. The Palmar, there's a whole bunch of land up there. I'm sure you're all aware of the 33,000 acres and where they are, but they surround that airport, and it was for the environment. You got the J.W. Corbett right there. If we're saving all this land, don't change anything at North County, because I don't think it should be, not with all the environmental issues that we have in that area. Just an observation. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Larson, you have a card on 5A2 also?
You had a separate card for,
I apologize for not paying attention. Okay. We are now on 5C1, if I believe, and this is for the choice of a law firm to, and I'm not going to say it either, but this is for the PFAS litigation. I'm going to make it short. Okay, thank you. And I think I would like a presentation.
Yeah.
yes.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. The staff is recommending a motion to approve the selection of one law firm team as outside legal counsel to present Palm Beach County in the per and polyfluoroalkyl, otherwise known as PFAS litigation. There are two firms, two law firm teams. One is Robbins, Geller, Rudman, and Dowd, LLP, and Napoli and Skolnick. And the other is Levin, Papantonio, Proctor, Buchanan, O'Brien, Barr, and Moogie, PA, and Douglas and London, PC, and the law office of Kevin Madonna, P, LLC. And B, to approve the contract for professional legal services with a selected firm to pursue litigation on Palm Beach County to recover costs for damages and other relief associated with the contamination of Palm Beach County natural resources. Pursuant to the board's direction in September 26th, the county attorney's office issued a request for proposal, and that is RFP CA 2024-01, requesting proposals from law firms interested in serving as outside legal counsel in a PFAS litigation. On October 11, 2024, the county received 5 such proposals from law firm teams. And on October 17, 2024, a selection committee reviewed, scored, and ranked the law firms. Consequently, they recommended 2 law firm teams for the board to make a selection in the PFAS litigation. And just to emphasize, this unique selection process is reserved exclusively for these multi-jurisdictional complex litigation. Pursuant to the RFP, representatives from both law firm teams are here, and they are going to make a 5-minute presentation each before the board makes its selection.
Thank you. And who's up first?
First would be Robin Geller, Rudman and Dowd LLP, and Napoli Smollett.
Why don't you all take a moment to introduce yourselves, and once you're done introducing yourself, the counter
5 minutes
starts.
Good afternoon, excuse me, Mayor, Assistant Mayor, and Board Commissioners. My
Excuse
name's
me,
Hunter.
could you talk into,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
there you go, just
You
so
can pull
everyone can
it-
hear.
You can pull it towards you and make sure it's on.
Is that any better?
Better.
Oh,
A little,
no, I think it's not
but
on.
it's not on.
Hello? There we go.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Assistant Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. I'm Hunter Shkulnick with the law firm of Napoli Shkulnick. I'm here with my partners, Carl Odette and Shayna Sachs. We're also here with our co-counsel, local to Palm Beach, the Geller-Rudman firm. I'll let my counsel
Mark
introduce
Tiernan.
themselves.
And my partner Dorian Tullis at the end. Thank you.
We appreciate this opportunity to sit down with the board and discuss our presentation on the PFAS litigation. We have been very active in this litigation. This county, as many of you know, has been very proactive in this area going back to, I think it was July of 2022 when you first started having the water department present to the board and discuss the background of the problem we're facing across the country. Our firm, and one correction I need for our application, is that my partner, Paul Napoli, was on the application as being the presenter. He was a co-lead counsel with Mr. London in the MDL litigation. He has recently stepped down, and I am now working in one of the leadership positions there. We have worked with this county in the opioid litigation. We've been at your side for the last 7 years, and it has been very successful. We think bringing tens of millions of dollars into the county on a contingent basis. What we're proposing here today is the same type of process. We have learned to work with the county. We have worked with your departments, and we have been able to interact with you and feel that we can help you through the process of getting into the litigation, and there's multiple parts. You have an airport, you have your water, just your water department and the cleanup of the county and citizens' water. But there are many aspects to this. The PFAS was utilized quite extensively in the area. We know that you've had tanks that had in excess of 550 gallons, which may not sound like a lot, but that's actually a very large amount of PFAS AFFF foam that was being kept here in the county. You had leaks. You actually had, at one point, a release of some of the PFAS AFFF in one of the holding facilities. So you have a county where your water system has potentially been compromised. We have done quite a bit of work on behalf of this RFP, looked into your systems, over 100 wells. There's been testing. You've already qualified for some compensation through the earlier settlements, which as a leadership we brought before in the MDL. There are now the next steps in this litigation which we think you're in the right position to be at. Owning an airport, running an airport, the additional defendants that haven't settled yet, who manufactured the chemicals. And let me address one point that I didn't hear the woman's name, but this idea of, are you making yourselves a target? No, you're not suing yourselves, to answer the question. You are here where you have the opportunity to seek compensation from all of the potential responsible parties. Right now, we're talking about the manufacturers of the chemicals. You've already benefited from the 3M and the DuPont settlements. Now there's Tyco and the other companies, probably another dozen companies that will be joining into settlements as the time goes on. We are now at a point where you have to look at the cleanup around your airports if there's any contamination. That's money out of your taxpayers' pockets, which we think these companies are responsible for. In addition to those big manufacturers, another aspect of this case to be considered, there are a lot of large polluters that may have used the same chemical in your communities, and they're no longer operating here, but they've left the chemicals behind, and those potential parties may also have some responsibility to the county. I could go into a lot more of the details of the litigation. I have the greatest respect for Mr. London and Mr. McWilliams, who are going to be speaking next. We all work together. We've worked together in many litigations, so you have a tough decision. We feel between the Geller-Rudman firm, which is one of the biggest firms in the United States, which just happens to be based here in Palm Beach area, and our firm, one of the stronger, I'm not going to say the strongest, but one of the strongest, one of the stronger teams in the environmental area in the United States. Between the two of us and the local presence can bring to Palm Beach County the kind of representation that you deserve and the kind of representation we did for you in the opioid litigation. Thank you.
Thank you. With 18 seconds to spare.
If I just say one thing on top of your 18 seconds, I'll take less than 18 seconds.
Okay.
I'll take less than 18 seconds. Again, Mark Dierman, I've been an attorney in Palm Beach County for over 30 years. I want to thank you all very much for allowing us to present. And this county in the opioid litigation was one of the first large counties to be proactive and do what you all did, and you should applaud yourselves for it. It was really important work. This likewise is important work. And a comment this morning that resonated with me was, we have to be concerned about the environment, we have to be concerned about the residents, we have to be concerned about our kids. And this is heading in that direction, and this is the type of action that is necessary to do that. And we hope and will be honored to represent you in that goal.
Thank you very much. Do I have any questions from the board? Commissioner Sachs.
Thank you so much for your presentation. And you are part of the Levin Panetonio Proctor? No, you're Robbins, Geller, Rodman, and Dowd. Is that correct?
Robbins, Geller, Rivendell, and Napoli Shkolnik.
And Napoli Shkolnik.
Okay, very good. And you're based in Palm Beach County?
Yes, Robbins Geller has an office with over 30 lawyers in Boca Raton.
Pull the microphone a little closer to you.
Yes, we are.
I've heard it. I heard it.
Yes.
Thank you. My question is, the contract that you will execute with Palm Beach County, what is your percentage of attorney's fees that you'll be guaranteed, and at what level will you collect those fees? For example, filing a notice, discovery, going on for litigation. What standard do you use, sir?
So what we did was we provided a staged fee sort of structure. And the purpose of the staged fee structure is that the percentage is lower when the effort is less.
Obviously,
so
right.
As the effort increases and the work increases, it would increase. The initial percentage is 10%, starting from the time of retention until the time that there is a motion to dismiss, which is briefed and ruled upon. At that point, it would go up to 15%. The next stage is the start of discovery. It would go to 17.5%. And then the end of discovery, which would likely be, I know you're an attorney, would likely be after summary judgment, it would go up to 20%.
Okay. Would it ever go higher than 20% once, say, it goes into trial or some mediation before trial?
So 20% is through trial. What we did in the retainer is we attempted to include a cap for costs of an additional 7.5%. So what we have said is that irrespective of what the costs are, it would never go above 27.5%. However, if the litigation and the settlements roll out as the two previous, and now we're up to 4 previous settlements, but to start with DuPont and 3M, the way that worked is, and I'm not going to get into multi-district litigation unless you want a lesson on it, but because there are a lot of governmental entities and there is a common goal with those entities, major costs will be shared by all of the governmental entities and not just one entity who should pay for it, because it's a common benefit.
So how many government entities are involved? Is it a class action?
There are class actions, but these are primarily water districts and local governments in the thousands. Our firm alone, I believe, represents about 1,800 municipalities and water districts across the
So
country.
you already have this litigation going?
Yes, we
in
do.
other jurisdictions?
Yes.
Here in the state of Florida?
That's a good question, I'm sorry. I'll
We
def-
represent any
Yeah, in the-
other entities in the state of Florida?
Yes.
Do you know? I don't know if I have any. I'm
City
sure we
City
do.
of Tampa.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys do.
All
You
right,
guys
we have a
you guys
few.
I'm sorry, I didn't bring the list of
Yeah.
Okay,
clients.
no,
You
that's
get
fine.
Delray Beach, you get the City of Tampa.
So you represent the city of Delray Beach,
Yes.
city of Tampa?
Yeah,
Tampa,
I
right?
can give you the
Okay,
exact.
we would be the first county. Now, the city of Delray Beach, is this part of the litigation? Is this, any of the facts would be similar to Delray Beach?
There would be some similarities in the sense that it's the same chemicals and the same processes that will be needed to clean the water from their wells.
There'll be a little bit of a savings
It
if we
may
would be using the same right.
It may be the same, and from what our knowledge of your wells and the systems in the area, this is going to be applied to all the wells, all the pumping throughout the county. So,
Okay.
and it has to be done across the country. I mean, that's,
Commissioner Sachs, just one thing,
Sure.
that the
Yes,
way
ma'am.
that we did the contract proposal mirrors what we did for the opioids proposal. It's
Okay.
the same kind of staged idea.
Did a great job.
But I
Thank
do
you.
want to make sure I'm answering your question. And although there's that 7.5% cap on cost, we do not expect that that is going to happen and that the 20% would be the highest percentage, even if we ended up trying this
And that's
case.
in the retainer agreement?
Yes, it is.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Just
David, yeah, come in.
one quick point of reference, Commissioner. The contract itself has a provision where the costs incurred to the county substantially has to be pre-approved by the county attorney's office. So
Before.
so the necessary steps will be taken to ensure that whatever costs can be controlled are.
Very good, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor.
if I could just say one to follow up, and that's exactly what was done with the contract before we had any major expenses that had to be cleared by the county.
Thank you. Commissioner Woodward and then Commissioner Flores.
Thank you, Mayor. First question, to just continue on the percentages that you have. Those would be well, per defendant, right? It's not like if any of this has to go all the way to the 20% mark, it would just be that particular case and not all of them. So some could settle in at 10%, some might be 15.
Right.
Is that how this works?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any idea approximately how many defendants we're looking at?
I believe it's about 13 more defendants. Most of them are smaller at this point. The bigger ones, such as the 3Ms and the DuPonts, the Tycos, and BSF, and also Kitty, which is in bankruptcy, which I'm part of the bankruptcy leadership as well. Those are the big ones. Now the smaller ones are starting to step up, and they're not going to be going through the trial. We don't see that, but anything's possible. But to answer your question directly, you do not have to pay the full 20. If one case goes to trial, it's not all of them are 20%. It's whatever one case, and it'd have to be your county going to trial.
And I understand you can't make the promises, but I know some of them are already beginning to settle, so we could expect a few of these at least to probably stop at the 10% mark.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And and knock on wood, I think it's wood, you should start seeing some of that 3M money and the DuPont money from the prior settlements in the coming year, very, very soon.
Page 15 and 16, we actually list the defendants that we believe are still out there that are liable for some of the stuff.
Okay. And then just my last question, as far as how this proceeds in the future, how will you be communicating with us as a board?
I will defer to Ms. Sachs. She's been the direct communication for 7 years now.
So you, assuming we would mirror it like we do with opioids, we speak to the county attorney's office and provide them updates. Their office updates you, and then when needed, they have asked me to come in to speak more directly.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And just one thing to add, what they were discussing were just the water districts, but there are other types of plaintiffs that we are also interested in representing as well. The airports, landfills, fire departments, anyone who's used the product. So the 13 or so that they were mentioning was just the remaining water district defendants.
So could that list be expanded as this goes? I mean, that we may find other
Yes.
entities that use PFAS.
Yes, just like happened with opioids, right? Originally, I think I came to you with manufacturers, and that's ballooned into a lot since
So
then.
we're
Every
not
time you do a
limited by what's in
deposition,
this
there's a
contract.
new-
The 13 that you've listed, we're not limited to that. Could it be expanded? Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Correct.
Thank you. Commissioner Flores.
Yeah, my question is addressed to our attorney, David Audi. I understand we have a relationship with them. Could you explain a little bit about that relationship and how it's worked?
Yeah, so we started in 2018 when the contract was awarded to the firm, and it's not this entire team, it's Napoli and Snow. They, at that time, instead of having this local firm from Boca Raton, were paired with a firm from Coral Gables, and they initially filed a lawsuit hoping to keep it because they had a local defendant here in Palm Beach County, but the case was immediately removed to the multi-district litigation in Ohio, which will happen similarly here. Wherever it's filed, it's probably going to end up in South Carolina, with the multi-district litigation. And as time progressed, as they did discovery, they learned of new defendants, new potential defendants. They'll send an email to me. I talk with our contact person, the main contact person, because the contract has a contact person from the firm that I'd speak with. And we've had good communication. They've been very effective. They've, on occasion, been needed to talk to different, not just the departments, but also to the, for example, the League of the Cities, because the opioids disbursement included other municipalities that were not part of the lawsuits. So they met with League of the Cities. And then for settlement with the defendants, they've had to come in to make presentations and shade meetings to discuss the potential settlements. And I've called them. I've called Shane at 10 o'clock at night if something popped up, or she sent me an email and didn't get back to her, and they've always been pretty responsive.
Any issues or concerns?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And now I'd like to invite Levin Pampantonio and et al. That's a mouthful, by the way.
Somebody left a telephone.
Should we come in this side, or is that okay?
Come on in.
Thank you. Should staff only on this side?
And presenters.
Thank you.
Introduce yourselves, and then, of course, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
My name is Nimbic Williams. I'm at 11 Papantonio, based in Pensacola, Florida.
Good afternoon now, I'm Michael London, and congratulations, by the way, that was great to sit through. And I'm from the easy firm name, Douglas and London, at least easy for me to say, and I'm Michael London.
Thank you.
I'm going to start the presentation on behalf of our firms, if that's okay.
Sure.
Unless you want us to walk backwards to the questions, but I feel as though let us start and then re-answer those questions as needed or address them. I believe our firms and our group of firms probably bring, I shouldn't say probably, bring no more. We have the most experience in this PFAS litigation than anyone in the country. C8 started by a lawyer in Ohio, Rob Ballot. He works with us. And a movie, it's on Netflix, or I don't know what it's on, I don't want to promote anything. I don't get anything from it, about his discovery of a chemical that was killing families, uncle's neighbor in cows. And that started in the 2000s. Rob championed this case, did this case. Ultimately, there was a settlement in that case. It was called the Leach case. That case determined in Leach, then the defendant in that case was DuPont, funded studies to see what PFAS caused in humans.
First studies ever.
First studies ever in there. Finally, after 8 years, 2012, it was revealed that these studies, these chemicals cause 6 diseases. They ruled out 12 others: kidney cancer, testicular cancer, ulcerative colitis, high cholesterol, preeclampsia, pregnancy-induced hypertension. I think I hit all 6.
Thyroid disease.
Thyroid disease, excuse me, thanks, Ned. By the way, you'll hear from Ned. There's nobody in this country, I believe, who knows the science better than Ned McWilliams. He was one of the lawyers chosen to try the case, the first case. But I'll get into that hopefully before there's no timer. So we got into these cases after 2012 when the science panel that DuPont funded with this settlement that Mr. Balot did and determined these 6 diseases. And we worked those cases in Ohio. It was a different MDL against DuPont. Tried 3 cases. Ned and my partner Gary tried 3. Plaintiffs won all 3. And DuPont settled those cases for $671 million for
If I could, Mayor, did you try the cases to verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Or did you try, wait a minute.
Oh, sorry.
Or did you try the cases and then get a mediated settlement?
Verdict.
To a verdict.
Three
Jury
verdicts.
verdict
3
on
verdicts.
those.
Yes.
Okay, good.
And
Thank you, Mayor.
then settlement. And, Mr. London accomplished settlement while the 4th trial was still ongoing.
Okay, very good, thanks.
And that lawyer was very unhappy with me because he thought he was going to get the biggest verdict in the world. But it settled in the 4th trial, in the middle of the 4th trial. Fast forward, we learned that PFAS, the bad stuff, is actually in firefighting foam. Go figure. And we learned that firefighting foam, the active ingredient in it is these 2 chemicals, PFAS. Ned, if you wanted Ned to explain them, he will. And what we learned was foam goes everywhere. If you could create the worst delivery device for a toxic bioaccumulative material, it is foam. It's sprayed everywhere. Airports are required to use it. This MDL was formed, I'm going to try and fast forward, into Charleston, South Carolina, on behalf of injury victims, on behalf of water providers who have this in their water, on behalf of property owners who have it in their soil, on behalf of states and sovereigns who want to clean their natural resources and who own parks and other in prisons and hospitals, and on behalf of plaintiffs who want their medicine be medically monitored. What the court did in the MDL, and I'm one of the lead counsel, I still am. Mr. Napoli just resigned, wish him well, and Hunter's still working with us. The court said, I'm doing the water cases first. If I can clean up the water, if this stuff is bad in the water, we do those cases. We worked through it, did the discovery, you know, from the opioid case. Mr. McWilliams and my partner Gary Douglas were chosen to try the first case. We don't represent them, City of Stuart, Florida, set to try it one day before opening, Sunday night. They were supposed to open on Monday, settled, or resolved for settlement. Fast forward, those water provider cases settled against the 2 biggest defendants, 3M and DuPont. I don't know if there's 13 left. I think it's probably like 8 other defendants. I'm in the room, but maybe there's 13. So we're working still on those, and I think Tyco and BASF, we just presented at the fairness hearing. Those are 2 other water settlements. The court now is transitioning into, what do we do with soil? What do we do with PFAS in the soil? How do we remediate that? Must we remediate that? And that is the next phase of cases, and I think that's probably quite germane for you all to think about, because you do have it in your soil. It is at any airport that's a Part 136. It is going to be at a fire training center. Where do we remediate? How do we remediate? When do we remediate? The regulations aren't in place. That's a quick synopsis. I want to just quickly say, in terms of representation, even though I'm from New York, I went to the University of Miami, though, we represent 5 counties in Florida: Miami, Broward, Tallahassee, Escambia County.
I think that's it for counties.
4, shoot,
Yeah.
sorry. And I will turn over, cede any remaining time I have to my colleague, Mr. McWilliams, and perhaps answer any questions.
Yeah, I'll just add on that like Mr. Skolnick said, we're friends. We work with Hunter for a long time. You do have a tough, you do have a tough choice, but our group does bring unique capabilities that no other firm does. Mr. DeLondon will be in the room for any negotiated settlement. No other group can tell you that. Our group has unique technical capabilities in that we've developed science that we can actually look at the chemicals in your soil and we can tell you who made it. No other group of attorneys can do that. I know that's beeping, so I don't want to go into my time, but happy to answer any questions.
I don't see any lights on. Bobby, did you? Excuse me, Commissioner Powell.
I do have questions, Madam Mayor. You said that you have this new technology that allows you to know what has that technology been successful thus far? And
It
have
has,
you
and I'm
used it?
very, very proud of it. In law, you have to do this thing called Daubert, where you have to present some new novel scientific theories to the federal judge, and the judge decides whether or not it passed muster and whether or not the jury can even hear about it. And we were able to do that successfully 2 times with 2 different federal judges, 2 different courts.
Thank you. Another question. These previous cases that were worked on, were your law firms combined as they are now on those settlements, or when you worked together, was the same combination used in terms of the litigation?
Yes, sir. We've been working together on PFAS for more than 10 years.
Thank you.
And if I could add just one more thing, I know we.
Pull your microphone a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Should move.
Yeah, if you can hear it.
Hold on.
It's hard to tell if it's working.
It's being recorded, so I want to make
Okay.
sure they get you.
You know, what we've never had the benefit of working for the county before. We would love to have that opportunity, but I would certainly recommend you reach out to Mike Martell. He's the city attorney up at the city of Stewart. That case went all the way to the eve of trial. We held their hand the whole way, and I'm quite confident he would speak highly of our abilities and our communications and helping them.
Thank you. Commissioner Powell, you have a follow-up?
Thank you, Mayor. Can you explain, we heard the previous group explain their fee structure. Can you explain your fee structure?
Sure. I believe our proposal that we submitted was a straight 20% contingency proposal. I do believe, I don't want to dispute much of what my colleagues had to say. I do believe in light of how these cases go, there will be no motions to dismiss. The courts have decided those. So we basically get immediately to discovery, which has to be done, a plaintiff fact sheet. And I think that's going to be consistent across the board. The water provider cases are slightly different because those are now in a resolution posture, and I do believe you've resolved 2 of those. The next 2 are up, which is BASF, which we just had a fairness hearing, which was $316 million, and Tyco, excuse me, which was $750. And so those you will not have to do any discovery because it's just a claims made process. Not me knocking on wood, sorry for the record. That's a claims made process, so you will not have to do what's called the discovery being a plaintiff fact sheet, which is the discovery instead of typical interrogatories and document demands. Case management order 5 requires a plaintiff fact sheet. I'm going too far afield, I know, but I do believe if you were to retain us or another firm or yourselves and do it with counsel, you would have to do discovery. I don't want to kid you. You would have to do the plaintiff fact sheet. What then happens in these multi-district litigations is that the court has to pick representative cases, exemplar cases, because it's Judge Gergel, he's not going to try, 400 different airports, 400 different property damages. So the plaintiff group, the defendants get to pick representative cases. We want ours, they want theirs, and those cases would be the ones that actually would be worked up towards trial. City of Stewart was actually that case, and Judge Gergel actually picked between South Dakota, Massachusetts, and City of Stewart. City of Stewart got chosen. So that's a long way of saying I believe you're automatically going to get into the discovery phase at their number and answer your question. Sorry, I'm sorry for
Commissioner
rambling.
Powell, all done? Commissioner Flores.
Once again, to our county attorney, any issues or concerns? I know we don't have an established relationship, but communications with them, any issues or any concerns?
Well, no question that both law firm teams are exceptionally qualified. We have no experience with them. The only thing I can comment on is during the process of the RFP, we had to communicate with them a little bit, and we had some issues trying to get some of the documentations, professional liability coverage, and so on. My staff had some trouble, but I eventually heard from counsel saying he was on a flight, so he never had Wi-Fi, and we weren't able to communicate, but it took us like 2 days to get some documents. There's another component of their RFP that was missing, and I mentioned it to them. It was a requirement, but they were still able to be recommended because it wasn't a disqualifying factor. But their proposal did not include one of the required issues to be addressed, which is how they would communicate and with the board and how they provide communication to the county throughout the litigation. So I did ask Mr. Ned McWilliams if he would address that during his presentation, but I didn't hear him address it today.
I mean, I guess we would address it the same way we have before, again, the same way we do with the city of Stewart, direct communications with the county attorney's office, and then any request to come and speak directly to you, we're more than happy to do that.
Our designated person is Kevin Madonna, if you needed a name and and a name and a person is Kevin Madonna.
Thank you.
He's a lawyer.
Thank you.
So my question is directly to you. Can we ensure seamless communication moving forward if you're selected?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you, Mayor. Can you comment on the expenses? We heard from the other team on how they were managing expenses. What's your, do you have a cap on expenses, or what's your proposal on that?
So I think, again, I'm going to address this probably pragmatically, not perhaps, yeah, pragmatically. So I think in terms of your water provider cases, the 100 wells, those expenses, you've already tested your wells, and there should be no expenses, de minimis expenses for those remaining settlements. For property damage, for claims in soil, I don't know what those are. I have not seen how much testing has been done, what those remediation efforts are. Mr. McWilliams is certainly a technical expert on this, but the soil testing can be expensive. Those are costs that we will incur and are not compensable back unless we're successful in the case. But it depends on the scope of the airport soil. I mean, the testing, there's a lot that goes into it. How far out we're going to test. We're doing this right now in a few cases. How far out from the runway where the foam was being used are we going to test, and how far out are we going to remediate?
The extent of testing is usually not required unless you've been picked as a bellwether, like the city of Stewart was, and along with the city in North Dakota and the city in Massachusetts. And then I believe the expense is borne by the PSC.
Under those circumstances, yeah.
Yeah, so there would, I would think it's very unlikely that there would be significant expenses for the county and under any scenario.
Mayor, I think my question was more direct as to your proposal to us. The other proposal had a 7.5% cap on expenses. Does your proposal have anything like that?
If that's acceptable to you, we could certainly amend that.
I don't think we can do that here. I don't think we're allowed to negotiate based on what you put in. I just want to know what you propose to us.
Commissioner, they didn't have a cap, but I don't think I think it's very unlikely that the other firm would get to 7.5 just from our past experiences. So, and as I mentioned to you, the contract itself has built-in provisions where those expenditures has to be pre-approved by the county, and they have to be necessary and reasonable, which is a standard for any lawsuit, which if there was a dispute would end up in the courts. So I think it's a good thing that they say they would cap it at 7.5, but I don't think that really is a factor. What I think is a significant factor is the attorney's fees. And I hear counsel saying that, you know, there would be discovery and so on, but what happens in these class actions, when they become class actions or they have the same defendants with numerous counties, is that the discovery gets less and less, and then if you have the certain claims and you file it with the defendant, the cases get resolved without much discovery. So I do think it's a factor that there's a staggered fee that takes in consideration a lesser amount with less work done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Vice Mayor Baxter.
Thank you,
a while
Mayor.
getting used to all this.
And thank you, David. We had gone over this briefly, and you had kind of touched on what I wanted to ask, actually, was that in previous cases, they're basically, with a lawsuit of this size, they can kind of, a judge can set a cap overall, so it doesn't even matter what we've agreed to in advance. Could you kind of explain that a little more?
So in the opioids case, at some point, the court made a determination. The court made a determination as to how fees would be handled. So what our contract provided for didn't come into play for those. there were some other defendants, and there's still a couple of cases that now that are, I think, are outside of that framework. But for the large majority of cases that we had, our fee structure didn't come into play.
I mean, so really, we don't know where that'll land, what a judge may or may not determine.
I think it's premature to make a determination now.
Would you like to comment?
No, I'm just thinking in my head. I'm sorry. No, it's just part of me. No, I was just doing mental gymnastics there, because the judge had already taken 8% off the fees in the already existing water provider cases. By analogy, I was not involved in the opioid litigation, so I can't speak to how that did or did not happen.
Okay. I mean, both of you seem very highly qualified. And so I guess where I'm trying to get is you said you're the better experts. I'd like to know why you feel that, in a very short summary, the best,
It's
better
not,
experts.
not just the best, but all of the experts. That's what we do. We were even though we didn't represent the city of Stewart, we were asked to come in and do the work for the trial because we had the relationships with the experts. That's what we do. That's what I do with this partner. So we're very much, like I said, we have experience with this litigation, and we are able to prove these cases, whereas other groups of lawyers, maybe they can, but they've never done it before. And we have done it before, and we have the tools to do it again.
I appreciate that. I guess this is just going to come down to judgment calls for each commissioner. I will start, I'll make the motion. I do like C1A2, which is you guys. So I will make that motion.
Well, I think what's going to happen is we'll just, if there's any other motions, we're probably just going to say who we're going to vote for.
Do you want to do like a roll call?
Do a roll call vote. But before we do that, because we're going to need a motion and a second, but we have cards. Robbins, Geller, Rudman, I mean, do you have I feel like this is trial, and, one person's talking, the other guy gets a chance to rebut, and then the other guy gets a chance to rebut. But do you have anything that please take, one of you come up here and take a seat, and if there's anything that you can add. I mean, I know you all had 5 minutes, but really, it's tough. This is an important decision for us to make with 10 minutes worth of presentations.
Thank you for this opportunity. As to the issue of experts, in every one of these MDLs, the expert team is the expert team. My partner, Paul Napoli, who was co-lead with Mr. London, worked that case right through the settlement to the $13, $14 billion in settlements using the same experts that they're talking about. It's the same team. So I think that's really important to understand here. And the same thing with opioids. In that case, to answer your question, very similar situation. Once you're the large litigation, the same experts, the same groups of teams work together. But more importantly, in terms of the fee structure in that case settled. I was a negotiator in $60 billion settlements in that case. We capped it as part of an agreement where the fees would only be a certain amount. I think it was 6-7%, and then there was defendants paying another piece of the fees. So that doesn't come into play here. The settlements here, there was a common benefit of 8%, and law firms received upwards of, if they had a 25% contract, they could take 25%, I believe, from those prior settlements, or 20 to 25%. So it's basically the same. We're talking apples and oranges between opioids and here. But in terms of the experts, I hope I answered your question.
Thank you. Anything else you would like to add?
No, I mean, I think if you're taking an opioid case, Hunter was one of the lawyers who was going to try an opioid case, and I would probably sit here and say I couldn't identify an opioid expert. I'm not sure how many opioid experts they could identify, how many AFFF PFAS experts they really can identify, but they're good lawyers, they're colleagues, they're nice people. I just think on this one, there's not many people in the country who tried these cases, and I think I have extra fingers on my same hand. So, but good people.
Thank you. And I believe we have 2 cards.
Yes, Mayor. Drew Martin and Alexandria Larson.
Drew Martin, I'm here on behalf of the Sierra Club, Loxahatchee Group. And the important thing to me, and I'm I'm sure both law firms seem very competent, but it's important to me that we just don't get money, but that we get a resolution that gets this out of our water and out of our soils. Because this is what they call forever chemicals, which means they don't go away. And they cause cancer, and they're very serious. And unfortunately, they're in products that are still on the market. There are some products that have PFAS in them, or in their products that still, things are still out there. They show up in the Solid Waste Authority. And so we need an overall solution of what are we going to do with these? And I don't know if these attorneys have that answer, but hopefully some of their experts do. And I hope you're going to ask that question. What happens to these products and where do they go when we are done with the lawsuit? Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm so sad my grandmother was a judge. Because I look and I see there's a coat with many pockets. Because that's what it sounded like in one of the presentations. We're looking for a lot of pockets. And when I read these 220 pages last night, it was the most painful 220 pages I've ever read for this county. Because it said that our landfills, it said that they can find it in our bodies with a blood test. And I think it'd be a lot cheaper after you're all done with the lawsuits. Everybody gets a blood test in Palm Beach County. I think it'll be a lot cheaper than some of the stuff we bought lately. Because 1.7 million of us now, we might as well just, $10 a test, let's do it. Let's test everybody, find out how much is in our bodies. Because that's in the backup, that it's in our bodies. A forever chemical. These are forever chemicals. These don't have a 100-year shelf life. These aren't, this is forever. That's the word, forever. It isn't, they call it half-life when we've dealt with, Agent Orange and a couple of things throughout the history of this county. But we have so many sources of pollution. We got the sugar cane. We got 2 power plants. We've got the incinerator. I mean, Jesus, we are new sources of scared stuff, you know what I mean? And I thought it was funny the guy couldn't remember my name. I'd remember my name because this is scary stuff. We're looking for pockets. Is this part of the EPA defense too? We talked about that at the Solid Waste Authority. Does this leapfrog into EPA? Just sorry, I had to ask the question. Because I remember Sonatrol. I don't know if you all remember Sonatrol up here. Some of you do, some of you don't. The county attorney, water districts, and like I did ask, is this something we're gonna have to go after ourselves? Because we let this happen? The really scary one for me, commissioners, was the cholesterol and the fat thing, because we're all being told in America that we're all overweight. So this must be one of the reasons that everybody's overweight, because we're getting this stuff in our bodies, and then there goes our cholesterol, there goes our sugar, there goes everything. It's cause and effect. I've said that 1,000 times in this room, cause and effect. So please, I really did like the second presentation. I did ask about the fees. I did, because I didn't see it in the backup. I only saw the 20% for these guys. And I wanted to know. But this is some really serious stuff. It was the hardest reading I've ever done. I won't lie to you, because I don't like the fact that this is in everybody's blood forever. It isn't a half-life or anything. It just says forever. And Teflon, they gave them 9 years to take it off the market. I don't know if you knew that. 9 years. And I just don't like us searching for pockets, commissioners. I want us to search for solutions. Okay? Thank you so much, and thanks for your presentation, guys.
Thank you. Just to be clear, we're here to pick a law firm, and we're here to pick this law firm to recover so that the county can recover and the county can treat. So we have 2 good presentations. We have 7 county commissioners. What we'll do is because we're going to take a roll call vote and we have 2 options. Do we need a motion in a second? Okay. Before I do that, do I have any more questions? Any discussion? No? All right. So would you please do a roll call vote?
Commissioner Flores. I can't. The microphone, please. I can't hear you.
Sorry, I'm a rookie. Option 1, Robbins, Gellers, and everything else on it.
At all.
Commissioner Powell? Commissioner Sacks?
Option 1.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm learning how to work this mic.
It's tough, but you get the hang of it after a while. It's good. Option 1. Thank you.
Commissioner Weiss?
Option 1.
Commissioner Woodward?
Option 1.
Vice Mayor Baxter?
Option 1.
Mayor Marino?
Moot point, option 1.
7
Thank you
for
very
law
much,
firm 1.
both companies, for your presentations. We appreciate it. And I know you all work together, so continue working together. And Commissioner Weiss, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment based on what I heard from the public. And our water utilities folks are working, and in fact, are putting facilities in place to remove the PFAS from the water system. And so just the public to understand, the money's recovered is to help offset the costs the county is incurring to take care of this problem. It was not something the county inflicted on anybody or any government. It was inflicted on us by corporations that developed some products and chemicals that apparently were not thoroughly tested. And once they were and they found out what the problem was, now we're all trying to recover and offset the costs that the public is having to pay to clean this up. And the same holds true. The next problem, though, of course, is once those PFAS particles get in those filters, where do those filters go? And because they're going to stay there forever as well. So there's still challenges, and they're going to have to be worked out. But the staff here is working diligently to make sure that those chemicals are not in our water, and in fact have implemented new systems that remove them already. But it's about of reimbursing us for those costs.
Thank you, Commissioner Weiss. Commissioner Woodward.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I wanted to just reiterate what Commissioner Weiss was saying, but also to ask, because we have done, we have already done a lot of mitigation for this. How much do you know has the county already spent on lowering the amounts? Because I believe the EPA changed it to 12, and we're actually down to 4.
It's down to 4. Yeah.
We're down to 4. How much did that cost us to get there? Do you know?
I think Ali has the numbers.
He's
Ali,
here.
come on up.
I didn't see him back there. Okay.
Thank you for being here this morning. All right, actually, it's afternoon now.
Good afternoon, Ali Bayat, Water Utilities Department Director. So the levels drop to 4. The implementation gonna be April 2029. So it's been 5 years given to us to get to that level. So 3 out of the 5 water plants that we have is already at the level 4. They've been at the level 4 for years. So we're in compliance with respect to that 3 plants. 2 other plants, we're working on the options. The cost gonna be, depends on what technology we're gonna pick, somewhere between $300 to $500 million.
$300 to $500 million? That's in addition to what we've already done. That's what we're looking at for future mitigation.
For future
to complete the county.
mitigations, yeah. But that's gonna be over the course of the next 5 to 10 years. We're not gonna do it all at once.
And again, that is just water. That's not counting landfill, airports, and any of the other places. That's just what you've done.
Correct.
So this is important for the county to know that we have done some mitigation. We still have work to do, but we need this money that's to fix the problem that we did not create. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your presentations.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. And we need a motion for the contract. Since we picked a law firm, now we need a motion for the contract. Is that correct? Okay.
Motion.
So, Mayor, I'll make the motion to approve 5C 1B.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you very much.
Do we have any cards for 5D?
Mayor, I'm sorry. Can I be recognized?
We had a motion by Vice Mayor Baxter and a second by Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now we're moving on to 5D, 1A, B, and C. And before we do that, do we have cards?
We have 1 card for 5D.
Okay. This is the contract for Spirit of Giving. Does anybody need a presentation?
Oh, sorry, the card had to leave, actually. It was Lindy Harvey in support. She had to leave.
Okay, thank you. So do I have any comments from county commissioners?
No?
Anybody want to make a
Mayor?
motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve 5D, 1A, B, and C.
So I have a motion by the Vice Mayor, a second by Commissioner Sacks. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. We are now on to item 5E, 1A, and B. This is the Economic Development Ad valorem Tax Exemption Program. We've heard this before. Does anyone need a staff presentation?
We have a motion over here. Go ahead, Joe.
Motion to approve.
Thank
A
you.
second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second for 5E, 1A, and B. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries 7-0. Okay. Moving on to 5E, 2A, and B.
Cards for F.
All right, this is the Home America Rescue Plan Award to Vita Nova. Does anybody need a staff presentation?
No, Mayor.
Okay. And who would like to make the motion?
Commissioner Weiss?
Commissioner Weiss, your light is on.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to approve item 5E2, A and B, authorizing the funds for Vita Nova.
I'll second it with a compliment to what y'all do. This is a wonderful program, very successful. Thank you. So that's my second.
Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. We have deleted 5E. We are now on we deleted 5E3. We are now on 5E4. This is the conceptual approval and an award to Village of Valor. I see no lights on. Does anybody want a presentation?
No,
I
Mayor.
don't, no.
I did have a comment.
You do? Oh, I know you do. Of course you do.
Okay. Can you please do a presentation?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Jonathan Brown, Department of Housing and Economic Development. I have with me our Assistant County Administrator, Tammy Fields, Howard Falcon, our Assistant County Attorney, along with Jeff Bolton and Carlos Serrano, Housing and Economic Development. So today we're bringing back to the board one of the housing bond applications. Back in May, we brought this project to the board, Village of Valor. It is a housing project that will provide a preference to veterans. And so we're bringing this project back to the board. Initially, when it came to the board back in May, the board approved housing, approved some NSP dollars, but the housing bond dollars the board did not approve. General timeline of what we've gone through with regards to the housing bond process. An update on what we've done so far with the $200 million housing bond. A total of 12 projects have been considered by the board. 6 were workforce rental. 5 was affordable rentals. 1 was for sale projects. So far, the board has approved 2 projects, one of which is Waterview, which is a rental project in Mangonia Park, and they've approved a for sale project, Community Land Trust, in the city of Lake Worth Beach. When the board reviewed those projects initially in May, the board asked that the proposals come back with a best and final offer, trying to make sure that the county assistance on the housing bond dollars doesn't exceed 15% of the overall project costs. And so we've done that. Additionally, on the workforce housing rental projects, the board asked that we do not assist or provide assistance to projects whose AMI exceeds 110%. So the developers came back with their best and finals. Village of Valor has been discussed with the board a number of times. We've met with them since June of 2019. And here's kind of a history of some of the things that have transpired, either in conversations with Housing and Economic Development or the Housing Finance Authority of Palm Beach County. Again, the most recent was in May, where the board approved NSP funds, neighborhood stabilization funds, but the board did not approve the housing bond funds. At that point, the amount of assistance exceeded the 15% cap, and the board had questions regarding the overall project. The board requested that county staff continue to work with Village of Valor, and we did that. We were able to work with them and the Delray Beach Housing Authority to secure VASH vouchers, veteran vouchers, and so that process has been, that relationship has been established, and that process is ongoing. We've also helped to connect Village of Valor with the VA, and so that, again, relationship established, and that process is ongoing with regards to the VASH vouchers. Village of Valor also applied for some dollars at the state level, sale and other funds at the state level, and they were successful. Hence, we're back today bringing to this board a project that we feel meets the bond criteria, and we're seeking conceptual approval today. They received, Village of Valor, $2.7 million in sale, and then they received $1.4 million in the state's home ARP program. General description of what we're looking at on the project. So this bond request is for $4.3 million. Again, just under 15% of the total project costs. Period of affordability, we're looking at a minimum of 40 years. We have the location in District 3, Palm Springs, 54 multifamily units. As part of the overall project, we also want to make sure the board is aware that there is a, for a lack of a better term, kind of a box, a white box being built out for supportive services. So when you look at the total cost of this project, understand that some of that's going to be space for supportive services as well. The total county assistance per unit is just under $117,000. And here is the breakout of the funding sources. The housing bond would be in third lien position with NSP, the county's NSP, following behind that. Here is a breakout of the rental prices, the units that will be set aside. The other thing to take note is when we looked at the, kind of the cost per unit, and we're seeing the construction costs, one thing to recognize is that they're doing 2 and 3 bedroom units, whereas some of the other bond projects may be doing 1 bedroom units. As a result, the cost to construct those units are going to be a little bit more than it would be if it was a 1 bedroom unit. And here are our proposed rents in comparison to the Florida housing allowable rents. And then today, again, we're here to answer any questions the board has and seek conceptual approval, which would then allow us to submit it to underwriting.
Thank you. I have 3 lights on so far. Commissioner Flores, your light was on first.
Thank you. When you say preference to veterans, how do you define that?
So that while their primary focus is for veterans, the dollars that we're providing have to serve those that meet the income guidelines. So we can't say it's a complete veteran project because the federal dollars that are being provided, the NSP dollars, allows us to serve anyone that's income eligible.
Are we expecting a target of how many veterans we're going to be serving through this project?
I would say that the goal for Village of Valor, and I can let them speak for themselves, would be, again, predominantly a veteran project, but they need to just make sure they work within the federal framework and ensure that we're not creating issues because of some of the federal dollars we're providing.
Perfect. And I guess the next item is just a comment. I like it that it's right at the 15% of the bond loan. And I know there's other comments, but I would like to make the motion to approve.
Okay, well, we'll take the other comments, and then we'll get a second for you. Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I would like to ask, I know it's listed on here as 40 years. Some of the more recent projects we've approved were for 50 years. Is that something that was considered, or is that an option for this?
So the board has that ability to make that recommendation. The proposal that was submitted was 40 years. We've had conversations with this developer, and there may be an opportunity to do longer. So we're presenting it as at least 40 years, but it could definitely be longer. And if the board makes a recommendation today for something else, we have the developer here, and they can speak to whether or not that works for their project.
Okay, I would like to put the request in for 50 years on that. Another question on the supportive services, is that, will the VA be participating in that? Is it county services? Is it a combination? What are the supportive services?
For that, I'd give over to the developer to kind of share as to where they are. And Tammy, unless you want to.
One of the organizations that they work with is Stand Down, which is Veteran Services. So I think that's what they're intending to have there, as well as space for other supportive services to be able to come in.
So is it supportive services just for the residents, or could this be for veterans who aren't able to get one of these units? It's only 54 units. I'm just curious.
That I would need to defer to the developer.
I'll let Kathy introduce herself.
Someone from the development team would be great.
Hot potato.
And if you wouldn't mind introducing yourselves?
Hi, I'm Kathy McKeno, as co-developer of Village of Valor, and Josh is here with Faith Hope Loves Charity, which is the other co-developer.
I'm the director of programs, so services and stuff.
But to answer your question, the space would be available to any veteran that needed to have services.
Get closer to the microphone.
The space is not limited to the tenants or the residents. It would be
support services.
Right, the support services, correct. And we did have a meeting just last week with United Way. They have a veterans arm called, I believe, Mission United. So they'll be using the space. I mean, I think it's going to be a very welcome support services to the Palm Beach County in general.
Thank you.
And in addition to the VA and those other groups, we've had lots of discussions with Career Source and other groups like that. Also looking at different sort of mental health, wellness groups that we can partner with. Some of that we discussed with the United Way.
Okay, good, thank you. And as far as, not to put you on the spot, but the 50 years versus 40 years, is that something you're able to answer now?
We
or-
did talk with the staff on that, and we're happy to extend it to the 50-year period.
That would be great.
Okay, thank you.
And would you mind filling out a card?
Just for the record, please, thank
very
you.
much.
And then the last thing, it's not really a question, just that the VA vouchers, the VASH, I think some of that came from the workshop that we all had, where they all ended up in the same room together. So workshops do work, and thank you for that in helping, make this more affordable for all of us to participate in. So thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you. Commissioner Weiss?
Thank you. And so this is only at the conceptual stage, so I would be willing to support it, but I do have deep concerns about the unit cost at $531,000 a unit. I'd like to get, when this comes back, I'd like to have a lot more information to understand why the cost is so much higher than other projects that we've seen similar. And then as it relates to, I assume the bond proceeds would be going towards the addition of the box that you call it. Does our bond, and what we put out to the public, does that preclude us from using those funds that way? And if you need to go back and research that would be fine as well. But I would think then that projects would be coming in and then asking for funds for their clubhouses and other things like that, or whatever else amenities that they put in those projects. And my understanding of the bond funds was specifically for housing.
Yes, sir, Commissioner, and the bond funds would be used specifically for the housing portion, not the support service portion.
Perfect. Thank you.
Commissioner Powell?
Thank you, Mayor. As this is conceptual, you all don't have a copy of a conceptual site plan yet, do you?
Conceptual
Site plan?
site plan? No, she's actually got some drawings if you want to see them. She brought some.
The site plan, what we've shared to all of the projects commissioners, is that the site plan approval or something has to be brought back after conceptual approval when we bring you final. So you will have something by then, or you'll have some dates as to when those site plan approvals will be issued.
Thank you. And can you all put that last slide up with the chart again that shows the rental price? There it is. Thank you. Just want to compare and contrast that again. And that's it, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Flores, did you have something? Okay, well, Commissioner Sacks?
Thank you. Will the costs from the bond go directly into housing? The support services are taking care of themselves.
Yes, ma'am.
So United Way, Career Source, we don't pay for them.
No.
That's part of this. And where are they located in relation to where these folks will be living? Where, I mean, are they these support services, are they close by, or are they in the building, or how does that work?
The support services would be a part of the project that's being developed, so it'll be on-site.
So they're on site?
Yes, ma'am.
Just like for our issue of housing, to have support services on site for homeless housing as well.
Correct.
Correct? Okay, very good. Thank you. Great project. Great project.
Thank you.
Did you want to make, okay, but Administrator Baker, you had your light on. Okay. All right, so Commissioner Flores, since this is your district, go for it.
So I want to make a motion to approve 5E, 4A, and B with the change of the developer committing to a 50-year affordability period.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Administrator Baker.
First of all, I want to thank the board, but I want to thank staff for hanging in there. This is a project that we've been talking about since 2019, and that's with, I can't think of the gentleman's name, but he's with Stand Down House. And that was initially started in Delray, worked with a number of other community people coming in, supporting this project. And it is definitely a great day to have your conceptual approval of the project. We will continue to work with them to make this an excellent project to allow us to give veterans preference, but also meet all the other standards. I'm really happy about this project. So thank you, staff, for all the hard work and tenacity in hanging in there with this project.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so we are now on to regular agenda item 5E, 5A, B, and C. Would anybody like a staff presentation? Vice Mayor Baxter, this is your district. Would you like to make the motion?
I will make the motion, Mayor, thank you, to approve 5E, 5A, B, and C.
You have a second? I have a second from Commissioner Flores. All in favor? We have a comment?
Those were 530.
Oh, Commissioner Woodward.
Sorry, I do vote to approve this. I just wanted to say that, or make sure this went through underwriting and this one came back completely clean, right?
Yes, ma'am. This one has gone through underwriting, so this is final approval. We now give them that information of final approval, and the developer has 1 year to get a shovel in the ground.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we like the shovel in the ground quickly.
Yes.
Not, 4 years from now, because that's not the reason the dollars were borrowed. So thank you very much. All right,
Madam Mayor, just to also highlight that one of the things that is included in this motion is establishing that deadline for all of the others, because some of the others have not made it to underwriting because, for one reason or another, or are not getting the necessary approvals. We don't want this money to sit, and so we are asking for that that deadline of February 11th for any of the ones that are pending to be able to be brought forward. We will bring them as we get the underwriting reports, but if they are not able to meet the requirements to send it to underwriting, then we want to be able to move on and be able to put money back out.
Thank you. And I believe Vice Mayor Baxter, when she said 5A, B, and C in her motion.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Weiss, do you have a comment?
Yeah, this is something I wasn't aware of. You want to go through that with me? That's number one. And the other thing I was thinking about, too, with the way we're doing this, why are we doing this? Why don't we just open this up and just let people put in projects as they come up? I mean, that would be my suggestion, rather than doing this where we're doing an RFP and then everybody comes in and then it all gets done. As they're coming up with these proposals, I would like to see them just move rather than us waiting until we have a window when we open that window up and let them in. If they're ready to go, they should be able to come in tomorrow and bring in a project, and let's get these things going. But as to people that we're working with right now, I don't understand why you're now imposing a timeline on them that you didn't give them before. That's concerning to me because we've already invested quite a bit of time with many of these projects.
And so, Commissioner, if I can respond, so there were some projects that are obviously ready to go. We brought back to the board. There are other projects that are either in underwriting or some that have not gone to underwriting because they haven't met the minimum yet to go to underwriting. And since we're anticipating opening a new round of RFPs in March or April, what we did not want to do is to have monies that are sitting there on projects that haven't gone through underwriting yet. We wanted to make sure the board is aware and we're aware, okay, so these projects didn't move forward, so instead of drawing down more bonds, we want to make those dollars available for any new projects.
But the money, so the money, we drew down the bonds. The money is sitting there. We've got projects that we have started working on. Now you're imposing a new timeline on them that we didn't ask you to do. I think, so I'm concerned about that. But my bigger concern is the fact the way we do this. So now you're going to wait till March or April to open it back up again. And I'd like to see this thing done like we do any project that comes through. When we have projects that come through, when they come into to building or wherever they're going, they just come in. There's no door or timeline when they open up. This money is there for us, so I don't understand why we have to wait. Why we can't just take in a project anytime somebody's found one that they think let's get them started, because once they get started, it takes months, if not years, to get them through. And so I'd like to see this whole thing, and Madam Administrator, I'm asking you to please relook at this and see if there's a way we can get these projects in faster, and rather, because it's not like you have hundreds of them that want to all come in at the same time. They're developing them, they're putting everything together. You give them the checklist of what they've got to do, and once it's ready to come in, let it come in, rather than wait and say, okay, we got a pot of money, because that pot of money is sitting there right now.
We did not issue all 200 million of the bonds. We only issued a certain amount of the
million.
Yeah, we issued about 100 million. And what we were attempting to do, because we wanted it initially to be a competitive process.
I get it.
But we can do that. We can definitely go back, come back to you with the criteria so that people know right up front what we're looking for. If they don't have control of the property, or they don't have the proper zoning already in place, it has to be shovel-ready. So what we need to do is go back, regroup, come back to this board with the criteria, you approve the criteria, and then we can implement such a thing. And when we get to the point where we need to issue the remaining $100 million in bonds, then we can do that. We were just trying to, number one, only allocate what we needed for projects to move forward, because you're absolutely correct, it takes a minute, and not have to pay debt service for bonds just sitting in the bank, dollars sitting in the bank.
And I totally understand that. The other thing was, one of the things that I've learned as this process has gone on is that a lot of these projects are being built within our municipal partners' areas, and so they're not going to approve all the development requirements, the entitlements, and so forth until they're until they're ready for permits, which is well, not permits, but until the investment has been made but I think we can. Here's my point. I've been made aware of situations where the cities are ready to move forward. They haven't made their official determination, but the city wants it to move forward. And I think, getting a letter or something from the city with their support of the project before the entitlement has been put in place, because getting the entitlements can be very expensive and time-consuming in and of itself, and that there's a way for us to move it forward in putting the funding in place so that they can move forward and get done what they need to do with the city. So I'd like us to see about working on that as well.
We'll bring the criteria back with those factors in mind, because ours may end up being contingent upon them getting the approval. I think we've got one project currently in that situation where the board approved it conceptually, but they have not moved to underwriting. And so we don't want the dollars tied up, because there are projects that are ready to go. And what we want to do is make sure those dollars are not tied up for 3 and 4 and 5 years when we could have used them for other projects shovel ready. So we'll bring some criteria back to the board for approval, and then we'll move forward in that regard.
And we already have that
excuse me,
scheduled for January. There is a workshop in January for that criteria.
And Mayor, I'd like to reconsider item 5EC, 5EC, removing that time constraint that was put in place until we can get more information on what that impact might be to existing projects.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have, we're amending the original motion that we took a vote on. So 5A and B stay. We are now voting on 5E, 5C to remove the deadline. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
No, and I have a comment.
Okay. Yes, actually, I'm sorry. We do have Commissioner Woodward, then Commissioner Baxter, then Commissioner Flores.
Thank you. I would just like to say for this 5EC, the deadline, how many of the projects that we already voted on would actually be affected by this deadline?
Commissioner, we have 2 projects that have gone to underwriting, one North Lake and the other one in Westgate. We have Judge Rogers, who has not made it to underwriting because they haven't met the minimum requirements to submit to underwriting. So I think it's just the one at this point.
So I would just like to say, if
I'm sorry. And then there are 2 others. There's 2 others. One is Isaiah Clark project, which the board allowed them to apply for sale and other dollars. They weren't successful, so they have another proposal that they've submitted to us. And they have another project Drexel project by HTG that hasn't gone to underwriting. They've applied for sale, but they were not successful. And so right now we have bond dollars committed, but they don't have the other dollars necessary to move forward.
Well, I would just like to say, because I know when we voted on this before, I was hesitant on a few of those projects to vote, but was reassured that it would be going into underwriting, and then underwriting would help flesh this out. If these projects aren't even going to go to underwriting, we should not be tying up this money. And if we're telling them you have until February, when we voted on this in August?
June.
June. So we voted on this in June. We're giving them until February to go to underwriting. If they can't make it to underwriting by February, I don't believe that we should be tying up any of those funds. They're supposed to be coming to us when they're ready to go. And what I voted on at the time was that you're ready to go to underwriting. If you come back successfully from underwriting, then, we vote on the next stage. Right now, we're saying you don't even have to make it to underwriting. And that's where I do believe C is a good idea. If you'd like to change the date to a little bit later, I'm okay with that, but we can't leave it wide open. A year from now, they still haven't made it into underwriting.
Mayor, may I?
Please.
Thank you. My point was I wanted more information on this.
Okay.
That's what I asked for, was a delay in implementing that until we got more information on what all is involved in this. And as we sat here, we got called out on some projects, and then a minute later, other projects got added in. So I just want to understand exactly what I'm doing, and who I'm impacting, and why, and how, and what that would be before I make that decision. I don't have the information on that in front of me right now.
Well, if I could just request a time
that's-
certain, then, that this would come back to give us a full explanation, but I do support us putting a time limit on reaching underwriting, and that maybe needs to become part of the entire process moving forward with the allocations, that when you come to us and it gets approved for underwriting, you get X number, whatever that comes to be on. But December we vote on this, or give us a time certain to vote on this?
We could bring that forward at the December meeting, the projects that are still outstanding that have not gone to underwriting, and that would give you the additional information.
And I'd like to have them here too as well, to understand what's going on.
We will let them know.
Do you want to remove your motion?
Well, no, my motion was just to take that out. So now they can,
Can it
if
be a
they're gonna
motion to
bring it.
postpone then?
No,
and
no,
not-
my motion removed that, my motion took out that portion of this item. And so they can bring it back, they can bring it back in December. They don't need a motion to do that.
All right. So Commissioner Woodward, any more comments? All right, Commissioner, Vice Mayor Baxter.
Thank you, Mayor. I do agree. If we are going to look at a criteria, I agree with both commissioners. So I do want us to have a criteria, not wait for an open RFP process. That seems redundant and less efficient. I do love the idea of having a timeline for them to reach underwriting. That is, I think, critical. We shouldn't just be having dollars out there. So I would like to see when this comes back to us, that in the criteria. And I won't give you a time frame on that. Tell us, working with stakeholders in the industry, what is a good, reasonable time frame, understanding that we need housing units, please. But to the amended motion, attorney, where do we stand with that?
You hope not. Yeah, this is my microphone for the day. We're on a motion to reconsider. We have a first and a second. So what you're voting on is whether or not we're going to reconsider the vote we had before. That's the vote before you. If you agree to reconsider, that you want to reconsider, then the vote is erased. Your vote approving is erased. And then you can make another motion, or you can just leave it and let it come back in December.
Okay, we have a couple of more questions, so why don't we take those? Commissioner Flores. Yeah.
So I just want to echo, I completely agree with Commissioner Weiss on all the points that you made. I do agree with Commissioner Woodward regarding the time frame, and they should have a time to come through with underwriting. So I just wanted to echo that. I think I'm thinking the same thing that they're thinking. So thank you.
Commissioner Sachs.
I think we all agree, which is beautiful. And I also think that one of the commissioners stated housing is important. If there's anything we need to fast track, it's housing. So whatever y'all can do, Commissioner, with County Minister Baker, we need to do it. We need to do it fast tracked. All right? Thank you.
We put time limits on permitting. Oh, Jonathan, what would you like to add?
Mayor, just wanted to add, so this upcoming Monday, next week, we have a public meeting with the housing authorities, nonprofits, for-profits to talk about the housing bond, because we're coming back to the board for a workshop to talk about the housing allocation criteria process in January. So we'll have an update for you all in terms of comments, and then a discussion with you in January regarding any criteria you want to change in the allocation process.
Thank you. Commissioner Sachs.
When are you having that meeting with the nonprofits and the housing authorities? So could you say that again?
Yes, ma'am. That's Monday here
It's coming Monday.
in the McEady and
Okay,
virtually.
could you give us a report to all the commissioners, please, as to the results of that meeting? That's very important, because we want to work with our nonprofits, the housing authority, the bond, everything. We're under pressure with time, so I would appreciate if that could be given to all of us.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Flores.
Is that meeting going to be televised? Is there a way for us to listen into what the conversation is?
Yeah, so it'll be in person, and it'll also be virtual. So if you want to join virtually, I'm not sure, again, the requirements.
We'll
Okay.
send, yeah.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Thank you. So I'm going to look to the attorney. Where are we now?
Still on the motion to reconsider. We have a first and a second.
Okay. All right. All those in favor on motion to reconsider? No opposed? Motion carries 7-0. So now,
So I'll try and make this motion, Mayor. Move to approve item 5E, 5A and B.
That's it?
That's it.
You got a first and a second? I know, it's what, okay. Everybody approve? Motion carries 7-0.
And you'll bring back C.
I was going to say that we do have time limits on permits. We need time limits on underwriting. And that's the consensus of what you got from the board today.
Yes,
Because
ma'am.
money can't just be sitting there, and if money's sitting there, we need to give it to those organizations that have something ready and in place.
Yes, ma'am.
Say we send this out.
Thank you.
I'm sorry?
Mayor, just, if I may.
Administrator Baker.
We will send out a notice to your offices for the meeting. Please be reminded that this may come before you for a vote, so therefore your engagement on it will be limited.
May I, Mayor? In other words, you don't want us all there.
You can definitely join the virtual call. I'm
Good,
just
thank you.
cautioning us on,
Sunshine.
It is a notice meeting. We will
Enter-
all be quiet if we are,
There
if
you
we
are.
are on, we
Thank
will all
you.
be quiet. Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you.
My question was, who is our representative on this? Do we have a county commissioner that's on this?
The previous champion for it was Commissioner Bernard, similar to the commissioner who sat on the Commission on Affordable Housing. I believe the board is going to be discussing that part today, and whatever direction the board provides us in terms of who your commissioner designee is, we'll make sure they're involved.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. We are now on,
Can I ask a quick question?
sure.
Since we don't have that individual any longer on the board, do we want to choose somebody to be the representative at this meeting that's happening on Monday?
Normally, that would be the mayor that makes that appointment.
Okay.
And I will be meeting with all of you for appointments, so.
Awesome.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, speaking of appointments, we are on
Actually,
six.
sorry, 5F1 was deleted. I do apologize. Drew Martin put a card in, but that item was deleted. I don't know if he's realized that. He was still sitting here.
I think he stepped out.
Did he? Okay, sorry. Wanted to make sure he didn't stay long.
Thank you. Okay, 6A1, we have, staff is recommending motion to approve one appointee to the Citizens Advisory Committee, and we have two names. Are either Sam Wilcox or Dr. Ashley Ridley here?
Sam is here.
Hi, Sam.
Do you want to give him a minute?
You want to,
How long, Mayor?
Both are here,
2
Madam
minutes.
Mayor.
So each one of you, please. Sam, you're alphabetically not in front, but you are on our list, so go right ahead.
All right, thank you for your time, and congratulations to everybody for being elected. Yeah, my name's Sam Wilcox. I'm really looking forward to the ability to be able to serve on our Citizens Advisory Committee for Health and Human Services. My lived experience, without going into too much detail, if I can, is I got sober in Palm Beach County, and I used a lot of those services, especially public transportation and all of those things in order to get to where I am today and build a quality life down here. And you guys have heard me speak many, many times on with what I work in now, which is, giving back. I'm involved with multiple charities, and I focus on the Medicare and Medicaid population and giving back not only for mental health and substance abuse, but also for housing, and just like we've been talking about earlier, how much that is needed. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity. I've been going to their meetings to learn more about how the process works and how I can be more effective in serving our wonderful county. So thank you so much for giving me the time.
Thank you. And Dr. Ridley.
I did prepare something, so I'm going to read it.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, esteemed commissioners, and members of the public. Thank you for the honor of speaking before you today. I stand here with deep gratitude and humility, ready to share my vision and unwavering commitment to uplift the people of Palm Beach County. This is a community that has shaped me, and it is my privilege to give back in a meaningful way. My name is Dr. Ashley Ridley Sterling, and I am driven by a passion for health equity, a passion to ensure that every resident, no matter their background or circumstances, has access to services, resources, and care they deserve. The work I hope to contribute through the Citizens Advisory Committee on Health and Human Services is rooted in my personal journey, which has shaped who I am today and fueled my purpose. I grew up in a household touched by the challenges of substance use disorder, which gave me a firsthand understanding of how deep-seated inequities affect families and communities. These experiences ignited my commitment to creating compassionate, trauma-informed healthcare services, systems that prioritize those most in need, systems that are not just accessible, but also equitable. This is why I fully support the committee's vision to create a coordinated, culturally relevant system of care, one that addresses critical areas of housing, employment, transportation, food security, health and wellness, and education. I'm a proud native of Delray Beach. I've always felt a deep connection to this community. My father's battle with addiction, is it over? Should I keep going?
Do you have much more?
I do, but
well, we did 2 minutes each. Just wrap it up, please.
With saying that I recently have been given the opportunity to be the prevention outreach and community relations director at the Drug Abuse Foundation, which is giving me the opportunity to offer these recovery services, as well as be able to be a part of the change that I believe the changes that I could bring about here in Palm Beach County. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. All right, I see no lights on. Anybody have any questions? Again, this will be a roll call vote.
Commissioner Powell?
Oh, hold on. Commissioner Powell, thank you. You hit your light. Fabulous. What's your question?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I make a comment as opposed to a question? I've had the opportunity to have conversations with both individuals, and I've known both of them well. And I think that this is an excellent opportunity when we're putting people on boards and the opportunity to serve. I like to say that a life of service is a life that counts. And I'm just proud to have both individuals in front of us today. I've had wonderful conversations with Mr. Wilcox and worked with him, and I've known Dr. Ridley when she was still at the Florida A&M University before she was a doctor while she was working on that process. So I'm excited to see both of them here today and thank both of you for your willingness to serve and for your service.
Any other comments? None. Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Powell?
Dr. Ridley.
Commissioner Sachs?
Mr. Wilcox.
Commissioner Wise?
Dr. Ridley.
Commissioner Woodward?
Sam Wilcox.
Commissioner Flores?
Sam Wilcox.
Vice Mayor Baxter?
Sam Wilcox.
And Mayor Marino.
Mr. Wilcox. Thank you so much for both of you being here. Sam, welcome. And Dr. Ridley, there are lots of other boards and councils. Thank you. So we'll keep you in mind. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate you.
Okay, moving on to 6B, which would be board appointments, commission district appointments. Do any commissioners have any appointments? For the new commissioners, this is probably early for you. Take your time, no need to rush. If you want to appoint anyone, the appointees serve at the pleasure of the commissioner, so there you have it.
I do, Mayor.
Okay. Commissioner, Vice Mayor Baxter, it's going to take me a while, sorry.
No worries. I would like to appoint Kylie Harper Larson to the Personnel Appeals Board, and I would like to appoint Mary Lou Bedford to Discover the Palm Beaches.
Fabulous. And because those are appointees, they do not need a vote. Do I have any other? I see no lights on. Okay. We will move to staff comments. Administration.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, I'd like to welcome to our team PBC, Commissioner Flores and Commissioner Powell. We're happy to have you, and we look forward to your leadership. I'd also like to announce, we talked about PFAS, water safety, and we, under Ali's direction, we have done a lot in our county, and we were at 4 and they changed the rules, so we're just slightly under the rules, so we're continuing. However, last week, Palm Beach County received an award from a national award, and this is for sustainable water utility management. And that goes kudos to Ali and his team, because they work extremely hard in water utilities to make sure that we have clean, drinkable water, that we meet the standards. And so this goes to show their commitment to the residents of Palm Beach County and the residents that we serve. So Ali, thank you and your team for all the hard work. Yes. And I'd like to wish everybody, in case I don't see you, happy Thanksgiving.
Well, that's next week.
I know you're supposed to come back.
Okay. County Attorney. All right, we're on to Commissioner comments. And I will go by district. Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank our engineering staff, as well as folks over at FDOT. You know, with the road closures and so forth that have been impacted, primarily a lot of it is, the impact has been in District 2, and making sure that the public gets notification to understand regarding road closures and that sort of thing, especially as it relates to the closures protecting President-elect Trump. So, but they got on it. There is now signage around the area alerting people to the closures. They're also, FDOT is providing their use of their signs on 95, alerting drivers to the closures so people can avoid those areas and hopefully make their travel life a little bit easier. And then I also wanted to thank our folks over in our water utilities as well for their excellent work, and reminding the public that, by the way, a lot of the bottled water you receive, they get their water from us. So, you know, you might want to think about, before you spend that extra money buying bottled water, you're getting the same water that you're getting out of your tap from Palm Beach County Water Utilities. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Flores.
Yes, first of all, I just want to thank staff for the warm, welcoming, and onboarding. We have been learning very rapidly, catching up to speed as quickly as we possibly can, and it's all possible because of your team. So thank you so much for the welcoming and catching us up to speed in a fairly quickly manner. I would like to invite Director Tammy Fields up for a quick second. I was recently made aware that from the school district that JFK North will no longer be taking children under 12 for mental health issues. So I'm not the expert at this. I understand Dr. Fields has been working on this for quite a bit and has more information. I just want to share this for the rest of the board so that they're also aware.
Certainly. About 2 weeks ago, we received notification that JFK North will not be accepting children under 12 through the Baker Act process to be able to have inpatient care. To clarify that, they still will be able to be brought into the emergency room and be evaluated. The hope normally is that for a child under 12, that they would not need the inpatient care, but there are times where that is necessary. We we were contacted by both the school district and United Way to let us know that this was a situation, and very rapidly we have had meetings with the school district, United Way involved, JFK North, Southeast Florida Behavioral Health Network, the Healthcare District, the Youth Services Department, Community Services Department. We brought and Mental Health, or NAMI, to have everybody get together to talk about how we can best address the needs. The concern now is that for children under 12, if they are going to require inpatient care, there will not be a facility in Palm Beach County that will be able to provide that care. They would have to go to either Fort Pierce or in Broward County. And that can hamper the connections with the family if they are dealing with that crisis situation. Unfortunately, the time frame was December 1st, and so we had less than 30 days that we were aware of this situation to be able to address it. We're working rapidly to look at what other alternatives may be available to make sure that that care can remain in Palm Beach County, but it doesn't appear that a solution will be in place by December 1st, but we are continuing to work on it. There are various different avenues that Southeast Florida Behavioral Health Network and the Healthcare District are reviewing and prioritizing. It is definitely an issue of concern. But that's the situation. JFK North is a private hospital. They can make the determinations as to who they are going to serve in their inpatient care, but they have assured that they will still be doing the evaluations through the emergency room.
Commissioner Sachs, you have your light on.
Thank you. First of all, thank you, Commissioner Joel Flores, for bringing that up, and thank you, Dr. Fields. You've done a lot of work on this up to now. I have a couple of questions. First, what was the reason for denying children here in Palm Beach County to have mental health treatment pursuant to the Baker Act?
I can't speak
We
for
know.
JFK North, but what was explained is that they wanted to be able to use those additional beds for the adolescents that are 12 to 18-year-olds.
So was it an issue of funding? Do we know?
We don't know.
Okay, so this is serious. This is very serious. I would request that the mayor write a letter to JFK North requesting a reason why they have denied this incredibly important resource for our children 12 and under. Secondly, I would like to see that we as a county commission board find maybe St. Mary's, which is a county hospital, to take over this process. And I would, or whatever the county hospital is, and I'm looking at Todd Von Laren right now. This is a state issue when it comes to funding of hospitals. And I know Erica Whitfield from the school board is the one who brought it to our attention, or someone who brought it to my attention anyways. I'm sure you had other folks involved in that. But I don't think this is something that we should accept lightly. So whatever you, the mayor, and the other county commissioners decide, this is something that we need to address ASAP before their December 1st deadline, that they're going to deny our children these important rights.
One of the things that would be helpful, and I know the school district has also inquired, is whether or not the December 1st deadline could be extended.
I just don't know why they all of a sudden decided to deny our children that very important health consideration. And Ms. Baker, what do you suggest that we do as a county in light of this denial by JFK North?
As Ms. Fields stated, we are in discussions with the healthcare district, the CEF-BEN, along with others. I will be personally reaching out to JFK North, their CEO, to see what we can possibly work out so that we don't have a lapse potentially in service. And then we'll report back to this board.
I'd like to have him here, he or she. If your talks don't work out well, I want to know why this head of JFK North has decided, number one, to deny our children this very important medical treatment, and secondly, as to why he won't give us he or she won't give us an explanation. And for y'all to understand, a Baker Act is something that if someone is in need because there's an issue of hurting themselves or others, they will be involuntarily hospitalized for 3 days. So this is a very important medical and mental issue for our children. So if you could keep us posted, Ms. Baker, I appreciate it. Thanks so much, Dr. Fields, for all that work you've done. Thanks, Commissioner, for bringing it up.
I know Commissioner Baxter has her light on, but I want to clarify two things. One is that this is a private hospital. They really can do anything they want. That hurts us. But JFK has a history of reneging on things that they were working on with the county anyway. So this doesn't surprise me. It does disappoint all of us, but it doesn't surprise me. And most of the hospitals here in our county are private. We have a nonprofit with Jupiter Medical Center. We have Lakeside as a county facility, per se. You can explain better than I can. But as for a lot of the other hospitals in the area, they are private. And if they do not want to do these services for whatever reason, we can't hold their feet to the fire. However, it is our job to ask the questions. And in this case, we need to continue asking the question here and see if there's something that can be done to extend the time period. And maybe they have some suggestions as to other things that can happen. But in the meantime, Vice Mayor Baxter, your light is on.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Fields, a couple questions. How many children are usually utilizing those services?
My understanding from the statistics that various parties pulled together, it is less than 100 children per year.
Less than 100 per year. So are we talking 1 a month, 2 a month? Or are we talking?
It's not necessarily an average. Mental health issues and crisis issues have a tendency to have points in time during the year where they're at more of a peak than others. But the number of those who are being taken in for a Baker Act under the age of 12, the statistics appear to be that it is under 100 a year. Not all of those are admitted. We don't have the exact numbers at this point as to how many are admitted when they are initially evaluated. Baker Acts are usually transported by either law enforcement, fire rescue, or initiated through a mental health professional. And then they go to the hospital, and they will be evaluated at that point in time as to whether an inpatient admission is necessary.
It was my understanding, because the utilization was so low, that the funds required to keep it operational didn't make sense for them, which is why, as a private JFK North hospital, that they would drop the program. I do think we need someplace in Palm Beach County that helps children under 12 years old. So I would say, and again, I've made this statement several times from this board, we have a Children's Services Council with its own taxing unit that gets over $150 million a year. I would like, with the support of this board, to maybe provide a letter to the Children's Services Council requesting that we look at, find out how much money would be required to help this facility, maybe, and see if we could negotiate that. I doubt it would be before December 1st, but I think that is the appropriate place to seek out funding.
And I apologize that I did not mention that they were also part of the meeting that we brought together. I should have mentioned them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Flores, any more comments?
No,
look at what you did.
I know. Just in my first meeting, imagine. I guess what I would love to, as a short-term fix, is see if they can somehow extend, give us 60 days, 90 days to find a solution. So if that's the low-hanging fruit, I sort of would love for your team to lead that effort. Thank you so much.
If that's the direction of the board, we can certainly communicate that.
I think consensus of the board is that, yes.
Okay, Mayor, if I may, could you let us know before December? Okay, good. And I also like to know who regulates these private hospitals. Do they get any funding from, and you don't have to, but do they get any funding from us? Are they up to 100 kids a year? Well, think about it. Could be 90 children under 12 who are suffering from severe mental illness. And we have just received notice that a private hospital is not going to take care of them anymore. So we need a little more information, and I appreciate it, Dr. Flynn. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, everyone, for today. Welcome to our new commissioners and our new mayor, vice mayor. Congratulations. We did have Veterans Day earlier this week, and I know I was with Commissioner Sachs down at Veterans Park to speak on that day. It's a good day. Just wanted to thank them for always inviting and including me in that. And we also had a joint conference, which I'm sure Mayor Marino will want to talk about too, with the Treasure Coast in South Florida, dubbed the Silver Tsunami, talking about the older people that we have living in our communities. And Administrator Baker was with us too. It was an all-day event. A couple of things that I took from it that we as a board hopefully will be able to address. One of them being the multi-generational dwelling units. There's an official name. We don't call them granny cottages or whatever, but it's, yeah. But having the ability for us, this is something that we could, granny cottages, but the multi-generation, because one of the speakers was pointing out that him and his wife are currently the sandwich generation. His adult children have moved back in, and he has his elderly parents who have moved in with him. So things are tight. And this is something that we could address with, I guess, zoning. There's a part of it that we could talk about. We do allow some of this, but I think there's certain restrictions on it. And being able to discuss opening this up for whoever, if a single-family home has the space in their yard to build something like this to take in family members, it would be helpful for the housing crisis that we're facing and also the multi-generational crisis that's kind of happening. The other, there was a woman there that spoke on retirement savings that they've started pushing out. There's a number of states that do it, some larger counties that are doing this, where I need more information on it, but it's basically where we are helping put together a retirement savings for small businesses for their employees to opt into. And this is where, if you don't work for a large enough company, you don't have access to a 401k, but this is more of having the ability to kind of group source this so that all small businesses within the county or whatever jurisdiction does this, their employees could opt in to having a retirement. Some of the areas have made it mandatory. Some have made it, it's mandatory that the business has to offer it to their employees. The employees can opt out, so the employees do not have to do it, but making it a process that we put together so that anyone who works for any business, restaurants or anything like that, has the ability to opt into some sort of a retirement, because as it was pointed out, we have a number of our seniors now at this stage that only have Social Security or maybe very small retirement accounts. So one of these is helping tackle the current situation that we have with seniors who are in need of housing, and then also helping the younger generation plan for their own retirement. So both of those were really eye-opening and good ideas. I looked to get more information, and I know we had two good speakers. I think the one woman would be happy to come back and talk about it, on how they're managing these different systems. And I believe the two counties to our south were interested in maybe all partnering up, so it could be a big South Florida coalition to get the best prices for whoever opts in. And lastly, I'd like to wish my husband a happy birthday on Saturday. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Sacks.
Congratulations to our new mayor, Marino, our vice mayor, Baxter, and all the new commissioners. It's called Refresh, and it's very nice. Thank you. Thank you, all of you, for being here, for having this position. Let me see, I'd like to have an off-site declaration for declaring November 23rd, 2024 as PBC Medical Society Day. Is that okay?
Got a first, second, all in favor? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to ask for a review of the county's policies and procedures for solicitation of construction firms to do county work. And if I could have that by the county staff, that would be much appreciated. Is that okay? Thank you. Thank you so much. And just like to wish everybody a great weekend. It was a wonderful meeting, and it's good to see these new faces. It's good to see y'all. Thank you.
Commissioner Powell.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank staff for giving us, myself and Commissioner Flores, a lot of information this week related to, or last week, related to a number of the departments and the responsibilities as we get acclimated to new roles in the county. I also want to thank the voters of District 7 for electing me to represent them as their county commissioner. I've had roles as state senator and state representative, but it's so good to represent, I believe it's Lake Park, Riviera Beach, Mangonia Park, West Palm Beach, Lake Worth, Lantana Point, and Delray, and parts of the town of Palm Beach. So I'm super excited to be here. This was a process. Of course, we went through that process, and it required elections. And almost a year and a half ago, getting started. I also want to just take the time to recognize and thank in the primary, my primary opponent was Attorney Richard Riles. We know that elections can be costly, physically draining, as well as emotionally and psychologically, as well as my general election opponent, Leonard Serratori. I think that when people run for office, we run with the charge that we really want to serve the people who are in these districts. So thank them for running for office, because that is a challenge as well. And I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. For those of us, or our colleagues who are traveling back and forth, my colleagues in the legislature who all over the state of Florida they're being sworn in today. They'll be traveling to all different parts of Florida. Please just keep them in mind. The road is sometimes very challenging. You know, for us here in Palm Beach County, it's a 6-hour drive. For my friends in Miami-Dade, it's 7 or 8, depending on where they stay and different parts of the state. So let's keep them in mind. And I'm thankful for the opportunity to be here. And I want to remind everybody that a life of service is a life that counts.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Baxter.
Thank you, Mayor. A few things I would like to direct staff to take a look at eastbound traffic on North Lake. I've received several complaints from residents that whatever construction is going on there, they're asking that if maybe they could not do lane closures during rush hour at that time frame. I don't know exactly what that entails, but I would ask that staff take a look at it, please. Also, I would like to
That's
form.
Beeline? Beeline?
No, North Lake, eastbound. And Beeline, yes.
Beeline, yeah.
Mhm.
It's an FDOT project, but we're talking to them.
If you could, please, thank you. Also, I would like to officially, even though he wasn't here today, wish Senator Bernard all the best. I was sad that I missed his last meeting, but I am very, very grateful for the time I got to serve with him. So that is what I want to say. I would like to again welcome the new commissioners. Now Commissioner Powell and Commissioner Flores. It's hopefully will be a pleasure going forward. We will all have some great conversations. I would like to also wish my husband a belated happy birthday. His birthday was last Saturday. And I would also, in case we don't, or I don't get a chance at the zoning meeting, to wish my boys a happy birthday. So November, 2 birthdays coming up within the next week. They're all together in November. So happy birthday, Logan. Happy birthday, Liam. And happy birthday, Mayor Marino, coming up Friday. Also, I would like to just wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. And just remember, that's what it's all about. Give thanks for everything. Family perspective is so important in life.
Friday.
So, thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Couple things. We do have a workshop next Tuesday, so I think we'll see most of us there. Commissioner Weiss, you're traveling, right, to Washington?
No, not next week, the following.
The following week, okay. So we'll see everybody next Tuesday. And to continue the discussion about the silver tsunami, there were some other takeaways that day. One of the other takeaways, aside from accessory dwelling units, ADUs, oh my God, yeah, that's the term, was the possible, and thinking about it, tax credits for family members who are caregivers, because there's a lot of elderly that stay in their homes, and the caregiving becomes the work of a child or a sibling that's in the house. So that discussion was started. We don't know where that's going to go, but it was an interesting discussion to be had. We also found out that there are people that are driving who are way too old, shouldn't be driving, who don't have licenses, but they're driving anyway. Or they had an attorney who signed off, an eye doctor who signed off on the vision test and without ever testing the lady who shouldn't be driving. So please be careful when you're driving, because you never know who's out there. But you know what? It doesn't matter what your age is. Just be careful driving. I would also like to say to all the folks out there who are traveling on I-95 and Indiantown Road, David Ricks is gone. FDOT has a project on Indiantown Road that, if I were to use the word cluster, and I won't use the next word, that's what's happening on Indiantown Road. And I've been getting lots of calls and emails about it. And DOT has been on site. I had District 4 Secretary Steve Braun there last week. Sadly, he wasn't there during rush hour. But I know that our staff, which this is not a responsibility of the county, we are trying to speak with FDOT to do something about the timing. There's a new traffic light. There are less less lanes, so it has been a problem. Just know that the county and your county commissioner, all of your county commissioners do hear your calls, whether it's Indiantown Road, North Lake Boulevard, because I've gotten those too, North Lake Boulevard. There's several of us that share North Lake Boulevard in our districts, which would be to my right here. Commissioner Weiss has Ibis. Commissioner Baxter has the west end of North Lake. I have the rest of North Lake. So it is all of us that get called about this, and we do appreciate and listen to all your phone calls. And with that, if anybody is at the ESPN Women Changing the Game tonight, I will be a panelist and hope to see you all there. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.